There's a lot of it. Well, with that we say, welcome to Wisconsin, bud. What is up, MFers? Welcome out to Wisconsin, Minnesota. I don't know what state we're even in right now. We are on the border on the mighty Mississippi River. And you might wonder, why am I not sitting on the front deck of the boat to show you guys the baits I'm gonna use to break down practice, to break down this tournament? Well, it's because the sun's blasting my eyes here this evening, but we're about to get things going. I got some baits I'm gonna use in the derb right here, or in practice at least, to find these fish quick, hopefully. But man, this is a special event. One, it's the last tournament of the year. We've had a really rough year. I mean, that's no secret. It's time to right the ship. It's time to go out on a positive note. This is like one of the only places on the schedule that I have been before. I don't have a lot of experience, but down on pool 9 mostly. I've never been to pool 8, which is where we're at. Pool 7 is also in play as well. So let's take a look at how this place sets up. It is one of the most diverse, dynamic fisheries that's gonna have so many different presentations that I think all bass fishing fans love. This place is bass fishing. It's you think the Mississippi River, you don't think of a crazy good bass fishery. Think of a muddy, you know, swampy, crappy river. No, it's not that way. The upper Mississippi up here, it is one of the most lush, vast, beautiful places that I've ever been in my life. Now, one tool that I'm going to be using a ton in practice as well as into the tournament is who sponsors this video, and that is the Deep Dive app. If you guys aren't familiar with this, I've told you about it before, but a lot of you guys are new. This app is just a game changer when it comes to having to break down giant bodies of water, like is what right back behind me right there. It has all different types of, you know, water clarity maps, wind effect maps, stream flow maps, water inflows. All of these are very important. The Mississippi River, if you guys have been following along the weather, we've been getting a crazy amount of rain. And so knowing where the inflows are coming in can prevent a bad thing, like if an area gets blown out with muddy water, or a very good thing. You might be finding some areas where there's clean water coming in. It can stack the fish up there, even break it down as far as telling you what baits and patterns should be most effective for your body water before you get there. And you can really follow it along as you are there in practice. That's gonna be absolutely crucial. It also is gonna give us an idea of the water clarity, so I can tell what areas have muddied up, what areas are staying clean. Fishing a body of water like this that has largemouth and smallmouth bass with a lot of grass in it, those fish move around a ton in the current. This is gonna be absolutely vital, is knowing where the water color still remains good. I use this Deep Dive app to find fish and break bodies of water down faster. You should too. I'll link it at the top of the description down there. Have you guys had spotted cow before? It's kind of, honestly, I think it's a little bit overrated. I'm not gonna lie. It's not like the best thing known to mankind. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a lager with a little more malt to it. It's easy drinking, it's smooth, and you can only get it in Wisconsin, so winning lacrosse, right? Anyways, let's get into some of the baits and techniques that I'm gonna use to try to break this down in practice and kind of talk about how I think this will play out. So I'm starting tomorrow. We got 3 days of practice, and I wanna make sure I'm covering as much water as possible. And some obvious techniques that are absolutely amazing in this body of water are probably going to be grass baits for largemouth bass, which a frog has been absolutely killer here in the past. A lot of tournaments have been won on frogs here. There's actually a Spro Frogs only tournament at this every year at this body of water where you can only throw frogs. That'd be a super fun one to fish. Maybe we'll get in that someday. And a swim jig, perfect for fishing over the top of the grass. We got this Conda swim jig I'm gonna tie up right here. Just a nice, easy, you know, doesn't have a lot of skirt strands in it. It's just more of a finesse with that Divine Swimmer on the back of it. If I can get bit on something that looks like this, I probably shouldn't be out here. Between the frog and this guy, I can cover the top and all these different current seams where it's hitting the grass. And there is all different types of grass here. Biggest thing for the topwater frog, definitely mixtures of grass, but if it's got duckweed on top of it, blown into an area, we got current nearby, that's gonna be obvious places to throw this little hush frog. I'm gonna get this guy tied on. I like that's a little bit more of a finesse presentation because they do see a lot of frogs, like I was just saying here. And I almost always start with the hush for that reason, especially when you're talking fishing over the top of the duckweed and the mats and stuff like that. I don't want the popping frog for that situation. I want something with a pointed nose because it comes through that stuff a lot better. And then once again, the outside of it, you know, fishing current seams, fishing over the top of some of that grass, the swim jig is almost impossible to beat. Of course, fish with Zark and Brad today. I got a whole new stock of bradder baits in. So I'm gonna get a bradder bait tied up. Again, impossible not to fish some of that grass, especially some of the grass that's not in crystal clear water. The chatterbait, a little bit more off color. Of course, you guys know that. You rip that thing through that sunbait, load up on it. I can't freaking wait for that. I'm gonna have a hard time getting this guy, the Magnum Catwalk, out of my hands. You guys watched the videos the last like month or two. When I've been out of town, I have crushed so many big fish on this bait right here, and it's a largemouth bait too, of course, but I'll probably be throwing this a lot more on traditional smallmouth habitats. So I'm gonna be fishing this thing around, you know, there's a lot of island heads, places where just the current's getting blasted into the fronts of islands, to the fronts of mats, stuff like that, where smallmouth can really stack up. Also on the back side of some of these areas, after the water has drained through all those grass areas and it's kind of on its way out to the main river channel, there's usually sand drops, which it can, I mean, they can get in like 6 inches of water on this river. You can't be too shallow on a river system. They'll get on those sand drops and you can either pull a Carolina rig or a topwater walking bait over the top like this Magnum Catwalk. There's little beads in there in the sun. That looks kind of cool. Man, this thing gets freaking chewed. I'm excited. I cannot wait to get this in my hand and freaking start walking it back and forth and see what pulls back on it. You know, we start talking smallmouth again. Another predominant pattern that always seems to be at least somewhat in play here is fishing the fronts of these islands, fishing the fronts of all the wing dams. There's hundreds of rock wing dams in this body of water, and so I'm absolutely tying on a 6-cents crude right here. You know, I could fish it Texas rigged without question, no problem, could throw this thing Texas rigged, but I am absolutely, for those scenarios where I'm fishing it over the top of strictly rock and I'm not around any of the wooden stuff, I'm gonna be fishing it with a jig head in there. And these new Dome Finesse jig heads have a badass O'Shaughnessy bend with a perfect like medium wire hook that makes it absolutely awesome. So the way I'm going to rig this guy up is we'll put that Dome Finesse jig head inside of the crube. It's solid on this like top ½ inch portion, and the reason for that is so you could grab some meat when you Texas rigged it. But you can obviously fish it like this too. A lot of guys are like, well, I don't want this little nubby up there. Well, great, you don't gotta have the nubby up there. I'm gonna take my beer opener here, or scissors as some people call them. And look at this little morsel of protein right here. We'll pop our little jig head line tie out of the front of that guy. Look at that, we have a perfect little craw imitator right there. One big thing I like to do when I'm fishing in river systems, and I'll probably talk about this a little bit as we get into practice, I like to dye the tips a little bit orange too. I don't know what it is, but the crawfish seem to have a lot of orange in them. And this guy is an absolute killer. It allows these fish, especially some of the stained water situations, to see that bait a little bit better. And speaking of orange tips on a plastic, one last pattern that is a winning pattern that catches better quality fish. It's extremely tough to find good areas for, but when you do, it can be very special, is flipping undercut banks, wood, timber and stuff right at the mouth of some of these backwaters and some of the ditches, the mouth of some of these big ponds, stuff like that, or just areas where the current is sweeping around near some of these backwaters where the largemouth live. A lot of times the better quality largemouth and smallmouth will be underneath those cut banks where there's a lot of current. And I'm gonna put a little flipping hook, a 5/0 ox flipping hook and a Texas rig with this 6-cents prawn right here as well. I'm excited for it. You guys see I already got those tips dyed in orange right there. That's an absolute killer. That's a river killer. You guys have seen me up at the Missouri River fish that a lot on some of these undercut fast water banks, and that's one thing I'm gonna be doing a lot of as well. So without further ado, I'm gonna drink a couple hundred more of these guys right here, and I will catch you guys first thing in the morning, do a little bit of practicing. It's gonna be a good derb. I'm excited. Good morning, MFers. Welcome out to morning number 1 of practice here at the Mississippi River, the final event of the Elite Series season. Had a little derb just launch out of here. Unfortunately, we can't fish those because we can't box fish in practice. Otherwise, I probably would have hopped in the little local derb. We're gonna start off this morning by fishing one of the most predominant types of cover out here, which is these giant rock wing dams that they put in to kind of redirect the current, redirect the sediment, erosion, everything. And they're great habitat. Hopefully the water in the river doesn't all look like what's in this little backwater, because it's damn chocolate milk. Some of you MFers might remember this shot right here. This is where we launched that tournament here with Zark way back. Crazy the last time I went to this bridge, how much different things were. But that being said, we need to go find 15 pounds a day is what we need to find to get that top 10. Lots and lots of 1 to 2.5 pound bites in this river. And we need to find a little bit better average. So without further ado, get some rain in my eyeballs. Let's do this. Oh, gotta pay the toll. The drum toll, bud. I'm getting pecked with my little craw bait down there. Was hoping for smallmouth, but instead, we got the Eastern Egyptian jump. Current is freaking rolling right here. Fishing a wing dam at the mouth of a giant backwater. Pretty traditional, badass spot for a giant smallmouth to be sitting, but man, it's hard to even effectively get something down there. I've already broken off 3 times. It's like you want it to get down there on the bottom, but not too much. You gotta find that perfect weight, and it might be different for every dang little current area, so that kind of sucks, but you can see it right there. There's the wing dam. Backwaters back there, main river's over here, so it's got to flush over this, and you can see it on forward facing there. I mean, it's just straight up blasting. Try to get it out in front of that, let it drift over the top of it. Obviously not seeing any individual fish or anything on forward facing, just using it to kind of get a better idea to pinpoint where exactly we need to send our crickets, so it's bouncing on the bottom down there like we're freaking walleye fishing or something. Drum fishing apparently. Well, right species, wrong catch. Right up on this little current breaks. Hell yeah, buddy. And I do mean wrong size. Pretty little fish though. Super dark little smallmouth. Well, we switched ramps, had some rain, caught some drop shot fish on a bridge. Actually got smashed on a glide there too, right by launch, so cool place to stop just in case, but nothing crazy there. Maybe a couple 2-pounders. And now we are back in the backwater. Gonna focus on some high percentage areas, these backwaters, points, little spots where there's a hard edge for the a lot of this duckweed, stuff like that, you know. Nothing crazy, but we got to figure out a way to get a largemouth bite going. We don't have to, but I think we really need to. All these backwaters have just amazing looking habitat, and you know, duckweed obviously is a huge thing for topwater fish, but this is duckweed over the top of some badass green milfoil here. It does kind of seem dead back here, which I don't love. If you want to hear that snap of the bluegills on the pads or around your area. Doesn't hurt to see some bait fish fly out of the water once in a while, of course, but we're gonna cover water quick. There's a lot of it. Okay. Okay. Little frog eater. What's up, bud? What's up, buddy? Right fish, wrong size once again. What is that? Wrong fish. Pike fish. Leave my frog alone. Swim bait eater. That's cool. Above average fish for sure. This spot here is called the Onalaska Spillway, and it's been a pretty popular area every time the lead series or any tournament really comes here. But it's gonna be hard to get a spot in line to fish here, and I don't know. We'll see if it's worth it, I guess. That was a good one for here. Oh God. Thanks for coming off, Mr. Pike. Smoked at the cast before that. I was like, okay, I'm throwing back in there. Okay, bud. Not supposed to be what's on a dang current bank, right where the current leaves it. Undercut, everything's right. Shoot, top of the backwater, big backwater area. But that's been the deal. Every time I freaking start flipping around, that's what it turns into. Just taking one of these green pumpkin prawns. For some reason, I just like orange on the tips when I'm in the rivers. Crawfish have orange on their tips everywhere, but I just, for the river, every river system I've been to, I do that. I don't know what it is, but it's a thing. In my little brain anyway. This spot should be money. Look at all that current hitting underneath where the root system is on that tree right in the shade line. Let's see. Nope. Oh my God. Tiny smallmouth. Stopped here because it just looks good. I like the way the current's hitting this little main lake. Should be some cut bank up here on the corner, but there's some timber up here I want to flip. It's closer to the point of the island. Mouth of a big backwater area. A lot of good ingredients. That does not feel big. It is a smallie though. It's a keeper, it's a small keeper. Carolina rigged him. Cool. Sand drop coming up the back of this big grass flat. Perfect spot to throw the rig. Wrong side. I had some meat sticks out, but they're fucking warm. 2.5. No, I got them this morning.
I know you got those.
You heard people catching them?
No, me and Logan and Caleb are catching some, but they're just frogging.
Dude, frogging's rough.
That shit is going downhill quick.
I caught, there's a backwater. It's like a big lake. I saw 2 other guys there when I pulled in the first time in 9, and I could catch probably 20 frogfish there in a couple hours. But I don't think I could catch more than like 12 pounds, maybe 11. I might holler at you, come get those swim baits later.